Namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu. Well, good morning, everyone. This is so exciting. There's actual noise in this hondo with people talking before service, and it's so wonderful to see people here today. This is our second Sunday of having members be part of our Sunday service, so we are very excited about it. And then we have all of our pop-up people in the back, so it feels like the hondo is pretty full today. Very exciting. A couple of things that have changed, ones that we're kind of slowly coming back. People who came this morning came up to do gasho and oshoko. We don't have any incense burning in our burners now. In fact, we didn't put any incense on the naijin as well. We don't want the smoke, kind of going through the air, so that's been a change. So there's no powder, and all the covers are on for not doing powder, but people came up to do gasho, and that was really nice to see. And somebody reminded me that we needed to put out the osai sen boxes, so that was done too. Very exciting. So I wanted to, before we begin, to thank all of the support people who have made this possible. We could not do this without our AV staff. There's just a tremendous number of people who are working really hard to put these services on, and today and last week was complicated by the fact that we're having people in the hondo. It's not just the live stream, but they've been able to handle that beautifully. Nancy Hara and people like Cheryl Higashi are in the background, setting things up and taking care of things. And then I have to thank Reverend Mutsumi Wondra for the beautiful flowers and for all the support and help that I got from Reverend John Turner. He's what I call my belts and suspenders person. He makes sure that my pants stay up with both belts and suspenders by reminding me that, I need to take care of things. So I've got plenty of support, plenty of help, and I want to thank everybody that has helped to make this service possible. So to continue on, let's go through the order of service for this morning. And we are now doing the welcome, and I'm saying welcome to all of you. We will be doing the selected saying number 17 on page 22. If you notice, we also don't have service books in the pews. So there will be, the reading will be put up on the screen. If you are at home with your service book, or if you brought your own service book, then you can use the service book that you have and follow along that way. Next, we will be chanting the Jusei on page 39 in English and 42 and 43 in Japanese. And the Jusei will kind of come into my Dharma talk later. So then after that, we'll do the Dharma talk. We have a wonderful musical offering by the Cherry Blossoms, and it ties into my theme. So the title of that song is Namu Amida Butsu, and the Cherry Blossoms have done a beautiful job with that. Then we have a special tea sarana ceremony for our fourth graders. It was recorded earlier this month, and we will be able to see that ceremony with Reverend Turner and the fourth graders and the teachers that are in the fourth grade class. And then finally, we'll have announcements. So that's kind of the order of service. Not going to be too long, hopefully, and you will have the rest of your Sunday to do whatever you wish to do. So let's begin with the selected saying that I've chosen, and it's a very short one. It comes from Shinran Shonin's Shozomatsu Wasan, number 54. And it's also in the Shin Buddhist service book on page 22, number 22, page 17. Please join me. Those who deeply entrust themselves to Amida's vow of great compassion should all say Namu Amida Butsu constantly, whether they are walking or sleeping. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. Okay, thank you. All right, next we will do the Jusege, and I am told that we are going to be able to see that up on the screens. Technology is wonderful. We haven't been able to put the Jusege up on our live stream, and today I understand that it will be on your computers, so you'll be able to follow along there. But you will also be able to follow along in your service book if you have that. So either way would work. Okay, let's begin. Namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu. Oh, excuse me. We don't want feedback. Gagon chosegan hishimu jodo shigan fumanzok seifu joshogak gao muryoko fui dai seishu fusai shobingu seifu joshogak gashi jobutsudo myosho chojipo kukyo mishomon seifu joshogak ryokujin shonen joe shubongyo shigumu jodo isho tenninchi jinriki endaiko fusho musaido shoujo san kumyo kosai shuyakunan kaihi chiegen meshi kon moan heisoku shoakudo tsudatsu zen shumon kosojo manzok iyoro jippo nichigatsu shujuki tenko on fugen ishu kai hozo kose kudoku ho jo dai shuchu seppo shishiku kuyo isai butsu gusoku shutoku hon ganne shitsujoman toku isangai o nyobutsu mugechi tsudatsu mifusho gangaku erik toshi sai shoson shigan yakoka daisen o kando koku shotenin to uchin myoke namandabu 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 にしくどくよどせいさいどほんぼだいしんおじょあんだこナムアミダ仏、ナムアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏。Got to remember all these technical things. So now I will get into my Dharma talk. And the title, as you noticed, if you got the emails from our president, Glenn Morita, over the week, is Nembutsu Sparkle. And I want to focus on the Nembutsu and to maybe explore with you how we can make it sparkle in your life. So let's kind of get started on doing that. Now, the Nembutsu, of course, is central to our practice in Jodo Shinshu or Shin Buddhism. And it originally came, I don't know if it originally came, but it is mentioned in the larger Sutra of Immeasurable Life, which is the main text that we use in our tradition of Buddhism. Shinran Shonin placed great emphasis on the larger sutra and said that it was the most important sutra in the entire Buddhist canon. It was written about the 1st century of the Common Era, so it's about 2,000 years old. And of course, you have heard over the years, particularly from Reverend Harada when he talks about the larger sutra, and the story of Dharmakara, who is this king who has this aspiration to become a Buddha. He meets a great Buddha by the name of Lokeshvara Raja. He's inspired by him, and so he seeks to become a Buddha himself. So part of what he does, and it's laid out in the larger sutra, is his creation of the 48 vows. We've heard about the 48 vows. We have part of the 48 vows in our service book under the section called Shiju Hachi. I forget the rest of it, Shiju Hachi. Anyway, that means 48 in Japanese. And so today I want to emphasize vow number 17. And so in the larger sutra, in the order of the 48 vows, the 17th vow reads that if, when I attain Buddhahood, the countless Buddhas throughout the worlds in the 10 quarters do not praise and say my name, may I not attain the supreme enlightenment. So he's saying that his name is to be heard throughout the 10 quarters. The name, and we'll talk about what that name becomes. And then after the 48 vows in the larger sutra, there's a section that has become the Jusege. In Higashi tradition, they call it the Sansege, but it's also about the repeating of 3 vows. And one of the vows that's repeated is the 17th vow. And so what the Jusege does is sort of repeat what the 17th vow said in the 48 vows. And so our translation of it is, when I have fulfilled the Buddha way, my name shall pervade the 10 quarters. Should there be any place it is not heard, may I not attain perfect enlightenment. So both the 17th vow and this 3rd stanza of the Jusege talks about the name. And so we have come to create or make that name Namu Amida Butsu. Shinran actually had a couple of other ways that he liked to phrase the name, but over the years in our Shin Buddhist tradition, the name has come to mean Namu Amida Butsu. And so that is the name that we emphasize, the name that we use all the time. Now, the Nembutsu, or Namu Amida Butsu, was used in many traditions of Buddhism. But it really wasn't until Honen Shonin, who was in the 11th century in Japan, who was the one that made the name his exclusive practice. Honen Shonin was the one that really created the Pure Land school of Buddhism, and he did it by using the Nembutsu as sort of the core of his practice and tradition. And so we have Honen Shonin to thank for focusing primarily on the name, saying Namu Amida Butsu. Now, Shinran was a student of Honen's. Shinran had spent all those years on Mount Hiei, had practiced for 20 years, trying the Tendai school, all the different practices, and finally hit a wall. He could not progress towards his path of awakening or enlightenment. And so in frustration, he left Mount Hiei, and then he went to study with Honen. And then under Honen, he found the Nembutsu practice. And our school has come through Shinran's tremendous reinterpretation of what the name means. So one of the beauties of the Nembutsu practice and what made it so popular in Japan was the fact that it was so simple. It didn't require tremendous amounts of meditation. It didn't require becoming a monastic. The Nembutsu practice was a practice that anybody could engage in. And that was the reason why it became so extremely popular, so popular, in fact, that Honen and his school became a tremendous threat to the established schools of Buddhism, and they were suppressed. And of course, you know about the exile of Honen and Shinran and several of Honen's disciples. So what Shinran did, though, is that he took the Nembutsu practice deeper. And that is why we have a separate school from Honen. Honen's tradition of Buddhism is called Jodo Shu, and we are Jodo Shinshu, which makes it a different practice. And the Shin in Shinshu comes to mean true, or also is connected to this idea of shinjin, of this awakening heart. So Shinran, and I love this picture of Shinran because it shows him smiling. To me, I see this face and I see the warmth of this person. It's just a statue, but he also reminds me of my grandfather, because my grandfather had Shinran eyebrows. And so whenever I see a picture of Shinran, I kind of think of my grandfather, who was also a tremendous Shin Buddhist practitioner. So Shinran took this much deeper. He took the Nembutsu practice, and what he infused into the Nembutsu was a deeper meaning. It wasn't just saying the Nembutsu and that it was a practice in order to get to the Pure Land or enlightenment. He said that it's not a practice, and it's actually a recognition of an awakening experience. What Shinran emphasized was the Shinjin experience. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So part of the problem, though, with the Nembutsu is Namu Amida Butsu is maybe difficult for people to understand. I think if you are what I call a heritage Buddhist, somebody who was raised in the Shin Buddhist tradition like I was, you just grow up saying Namu Amida Butsu, you don't think about it, it's just you go up, you do a shoko, and you say it, and you don't think about it. And then for people who come to Shin Buddhism, they ask these questions like, what am I saying? What does this mean? And so I was inspired to delve into this idea of what Namu Amida Butsu means by an article that came out last month in the Wheel of Dharma under Reverend Harada's Bishop's Message last month, and he talked about the universality of Namu Amida Butsu. very short article, but had really made an impact on me. And the reason why sometimes I don't always read all of the Wheel of Dharma, but there were two reasons why I went to this article to really look at it. First of all, there was a message from someone in the BEC book club. This is Marcia, some of you may know, who is a member of our temple, also in the BEC book club. She read this article and was deeply moved by it. She said that when she first came to OCBC, she didn't really understand what she was saying. It was hard for her to know what this meant, and it seemed foreign, and it sounded, for some people, it sounds like I'm praying to something. So there was a lot of confusion, and I think even for heritage members like us, sometimes we don't understand why we're saying it, what it means, what do we bring to our practice of saying namu amida butsu. So we're going to talk about what that is. So first of all, it isn't praying. It's not a mantra. It's not like magic words and that it's going to, make things better or different. But what it is, it's an expression of what's inside your heart. It's an expression of gratitude, of a lot of things. And I'll talk about what that means for each of us. So what Reverend Harada said in this article, I thought was very simple, but also very easy to understand and to really go deeper into its meaning. So as he says, namu means to bow one's head. And amida butsu means amida Buddha. So not difficult. Amida Buddha also is difficult for people to understand what that is. But his explanation is that Amida Buddha is a metaphor for the truth of enlightenment, or wisdom and compassion. So when we say Namu Amida Butsu, he says that I bow my head to the truth of enlightenment. I bow my head to a truth beyond my limited ego self. I bow my head to great wisdom and great compassion. So Namu represents the unenlightened, lost in delusion me. Amida Butsu represents the truth of enlightenment, and his contention is that all of us experience Namu Amida Butsu in our daily life, and that's what we need to recognize what that is. Being aware that you are lost or that something is missing is evidence that the Dharma, the light of truth, is breaking through the shell of my ego self. So if you feel that maybe, I should be happy, I have all the things that I need that make me happy, but there's still something kind of missing. And that's the Dharma trying to get you to go deeper into the truth of what Namu Amida Butsu means, or the truth of enlightenment, the truth of insight. I think Jim Pollard has talked about what he calls secular transcendence, where many people feel that, their life is fine because they've reached status, they have enough money, they have the kids that they want, they've got a good marriage, they've got a great job, they've got nice cars and houses. They have a lot of things that should make them happy, and still there's something not quite there. And then there are people who are going through very difficult times, great challenges, either physical, mental, disasters from outside. Those are the times when you question what is the meaning of my life? What am I supposed to be here for? And that's what Reverend Harada says is a Namu Amida Butsu moment. That's when you are feeling like you're searching for something deeper in your life. So, what I'm suggesting is that we need to find our Nembutsu journey to Sparkle. And Sparkle, I wanted to kind of isn't a typical word that we use in the temple. But what I wanted to try to convey was sort of this feeling of excitement, enthusiasm, of energy, and I think Sparkle hopefully gives that impression. We're trying to convey Shin Buddhism and the Shin Buddhist path in a way that is energetic and positive and that uplifts people. And so I picked that word. So one of the things that is important for the Nembutsu journey is to make it your own. One of the things that I teach the high school class, some of you know that, and one of the things I tell high school students when they first come into my class, because they come in as ninth graders and they're with me for 4 years, unfortunately for them, I think, but they have me for 4 years, and one of the things I first tell them is that you have to make the Nembutsu your own. We start the class with Nembutsu, and these are the things that I tell them. Don't be a parrot. And one of the reasons why I say this is when I was growing up in the temple, this is back when we used to have OCBC in Stanton, and I went to Japanese school, and back then we would do chanting, or we'd do a selected saying or something, and we always did the Nembutsu afterwards. Sensei would say it, Sangha would say it, Sensei would say it, Sangha would say it. And we did this 3 times. So I was told that in Japan, I think Reverend Dr. Haneda said that in Japan, people don't do that. They just spontaneously say namu amida butsu. When something's done, like chanting or song or with their feeling, people just say namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu. It just kind of spontaneously comes from them. So it's coming to America and seeing people parroting back and forth was really unusual, and that was not something that was done. So I tried to tell my students that you don't want to be a parrot. This Nembutsu has to be your own. And then when we do Nembutsu in the class, I only do the first one. Basically what I do in the Sangha too. I do the first Nembutsu to kind of get us started, but then everybody should just be saying the Nembutsu the way they want to say it. You can say it a lot of different ways. The other thing is to say the Nembutsu anytime, any place, anywhere. In Japan, they don't have Sunday services. They go to the temple because it's around the corner. They can just go there anytime they want. But they also have obutsudans in their homes. So saying the Nembutsu becomes a part of your daily living experience. Typically, families will go to the obutsudan in the morning and either light incense, light a candle, do a shoko. Sometimes they will chant. Some families are very religious about chanting every morning. I think for children it's a big pain to do that, but they learn or get the idea that this is important. It becomes an everyday practice. So as the Shozomatsu Wasan that we read in the selected saying, it said, to say namu amida butsu constantly, whether you are walking or sleeping. And basically it means you could say it anytime. I asked my students if they ever say namu amida butsu during the week, and they said no, they don't do that. But I think it's important to suggest it, that that's something that we can do any day, any time, any place. And then the last thing is that I told them you have to make the Nembutsu your own. It's not something you do because you come to temple, it's not something you do because everybody else is doing, but make the Nembutsu your own. And what you do is over time, you build into the Nembutsu its meaning. And that's, I think, the gift of what Shinran gave to us, this idea that the Nembutsu builds its depth and significance as you live your life. I think as children, you do it as a parrot. You do it because you're supposed to. It doesn't have any meaning. It's just words I say or sounds that I make, and not even words that I know what they mean. But over the course of your life, saying namu amida butsu is I guess, brings deep meaning into your life. So I want to share with you what Dr. Ken Tanaka's elements of the Shinjin experience is. And he, a lot of times Shinjin is kind of described as something like true and trusting. But he also adds these other elements of awareness, which in Japanese the word is chie, which in other translation, chie is translated as wisdom. So wisdom or awareness is an element of the Shinjin experience. Joy, and then this idea that you're really sure, you don't have doubt that of the validity of what you are doing. And I would add that for me, the Nembutsu encompasses, and I guess what I'm basically saying is that for me, Shinjin and Nembutsu all kind of conflate together. They both represent for me the same thing. And in that expression of namu amida butsu is a great sense of gratitude and humility and just everyday thankfulness for all the things in my life that support and keep my life vibrant and full and meaningful. And that's what we are looking for, a life that sparkles. So hopefully you can be thinking of the Nembutsu in those kinds of terms, a life that will sparkle for all of you. Please join me in Gassho. Namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu. Okay, now we have a very special treat with our musical offering by the Cherry Blossoms. They are just so talented, and I love the fact that 2 of its members were OCBC members, and please enjoy their singing of Namu Amida Butsu. It's not in the service book. This is a different version of it than what's in our service book.
This is so much better. Okay. I can actually look at you. Okay. We look so hard for something that brings us happiness. We tend to look outside ourselves and forget what we have within. We put our hands together to find peace in our days. The present moment is all we have. Don't let it slip away. If we close our eyes, remember all that we have. Our hearts will feel a brighter day. We'll sing Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida Butsu. Sometimes we get overwhelmed
need to move on. Okay, that was lovely. And every time they play and sing for us is such a treat. So I want to thank all three of them for doing that. Next, we have our special Tisarana ceremony for our fourth graders. And this is kind of like a Buddhist confirmation service or ceremony. And it's done in the fourth grade. And the reason for it being done at this time is because of the fact that Shinran went into the monastery at age 9. He was not exactly orphaned, but he didn't have a family at that age. And so he went to become a monk at the age of 9. And so that's why we have this Tisarana ceremony at the age of 9. And they did the ceremony, I think a week and a half or so ago. We have a recording, and we're going to play it for you now. So please enjoy this Tisarana ceremony.
We're going to get started with Tisarana. This is where we have 9-year-olds take refuge in the three treasures. Just like Shinran Shonin did at 9, he went to Mount Kie, and he took his first level ordination at 9 years old. So symbolically, young people at OCBC study very hard in Dharma school. They learn about Shinran's teachings, and then they too step forward at 9 years old and take refuge in the three jewels. So I'll call your name. We'll give you a Monto Shiki show, which is symbolic of being part of the Buddhist Sangha. You'll also receive a certificate. And then together in Gasho, we'll say the three treasures. Namu Kie Butsu for Buddha, Namu Kie Ho for Dharma, and Namu Kie So for Sangha. So those are the three jewels. And you're kind of stating an aspiration that you will follow the Buddhist path and practice the way throughout your life. And that's a very important milestone, I think, in a person's life. It's very rare and very wondrous occurrence. It doesn't happen often. So I really admire and respect you all. And we'll begin our ceremony. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So, Namandavus, Namandavus, Namandavus. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So, Namandavus, Namandavus, Namandavus. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So, Namandavus, Namandavus. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So, Namandavus, Namandavus, Namandavus. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo, Namo. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo.
Isn't that great? So before we move on, I wanted to actually give a shout out to the fourth grade ume class teachers that include Janet Sakahara, Dorothy Matsumoto, and Sharon Kawakami. So they did a wonderful job with that ceremony, and they do a wonderful job with the class in general. Okay, let's move on to announcements. So we're at the end, and I only have 4, so they should go rather quickly. There will be an adult study class at 11 o'clock today here in the Hondo. In order to participate, you have to have registered on the OCBC website and that you were sent a Zoom link. I think there's still time if you want to do that. We've got 12 minutes until 11 o'clock, and you can participate in the adult study via your computer. And then there's people here. There will be some people I hopefully will stay for the adult study. And then the Dharma School classes will be meeting via Zoom. And today it is the preschool K Momo Sakura class, the 2nd and 3rd grade Yuri Kikyo class, 4th grade Ume class, and the 8th grade Ayame class, Iris. So all of those four groups will be meeting via Zoom also from 11 to 11:45. Okay? And then next week is our Father's Day service with Reverend John Turner. It's always our all-musical service, which he's been coordinating all of these videos that have been coming in. So it's going to be a very wonderful musical experience and service. We also have some graduation of seniors and some awards for scholarships that we will be handing out also. I don't know if those people are coming or not in person, but we will at least announce names. So we'll be having that next week. So be sure you tune in for next week's service. And then I wanted to tell you about an event called Walk the Farm that is happening at Tanaka Farms next Saturday. Today's the last day to register, and you do have to pre-register. It's a fundraiser that's put on by Tanaka Farms and OCO, which is Orange County Optimist. They've been doing this for the last 11 years, ever since the Fukushima disaster in Japan. They've been raising money for farmers in Tohoku and also in Central California, trying to raise funds to help out those farmers that are in need. So if if you want to attend, that would be great. They have an exhibit this year. Maybe they do it every year, but this year I know that they're going to have an exhibit of farming and agricultural families. They'll have collages and displays of the various families, particularly I think in Orange County. And just to give you a heads up, there's going to be a display of the Hamada nurseries, which I'm a Hamada family person, and we had 4 nurseries in Southern California, and there'll be a display of that. But many of our Sangha members that are from farming families. I think many of them will also be displayed there, and so I would encourage you to go and also support this event. It's very worthwhile, and actually part of what you do is you actually walk the Tanaka farm and see the plants growing. It's really well-attended, very popular event. And lastly, encourage you, if you are not, I know everybody in this Hondo right now and all the people that are in the pop-ups are members, but if you're not a member of either Vista Buddhist Temple or Orange County Buddhist Church, encourage you to become a member, and we would love to have you as part of our Sangha. So with that, I'll have you end with Gasho with me. Please join me. Namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu, namu amida butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu. Remember to make it your own.